I found my mom's diary hidden behind the water heater. It says we died in a car wreck 4 months ago. I'm typing this with hands that don't feel like mine anymore. Every time I hit a key, I expect my fingernails to just pop off. I'm currently locked in the guest bathroom of my childhood home. It's the only room with a heavy brass deadbolt, and I can hear them shuffling outside. Leo? Honey, the stew is getting a skin on it, my mom calls out. Her voice has this rhythmic clicking quality to it now, like a beetle's wings. Don't you want to grow up big and strong? I need to get this out before my phone dies or before they find the spare key. Please, if anyone is reading this, tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm having a psychotic break. But I found the diary, and the diary doesn't lie. I moved back home 6 months ago. My parents, Elena and Marcus, were the golden couple of our neighborhood. Mom was the type to drop off sourdough starters to her neighbors. Dad was the high school football coach who still gave those rib-cracking bear hugs. Everything seemed perfect at first. But looking back, the signs were screaming at me. First, it was the house temperature. We live in Maine. It's November. But the furnace hasn't been on once. The house stays a constant, bone-chilling 41 degrees. Mom says the cold is good for the complexion. She walks around in these sheer floral sundresses, her skin looking like blue-veined marble. Then there's the sound. They don't walk anymore. They drag. A wet, heavy slap hiss sound on the hardwood floors. And the humming. Mom hums this low, vibrating tune that seems to come from her chest, not her throat. And the flies. God, the flies. Great, fat black bottles that cluster in the corners of the ceilings. Dad just sits in his recliner, watching static on the TV, while they crawl across his lips. He doesn't even twitch. I was looking for a flashlight in the basement this morning when I saw a corner of leather sticking out from behind the old water heater. It was Mom's diary. The cover was damp, smelling of wet earth and copper. I'm going to transcribe the entries that broke. Emmy, August 14th, the brakes screamed. That's the last thing I heard before the oak tree split the car in half. I watched Marcus's head hit the dashboard. It sounded like a ripe melon dropping on concrete. My own legs were somewhere else. I felt the cold coming for us. But then he appeared. The man in the gray suit. He stood in the wreckage and whispered that a family shouldn't be torn apart. He gave us the soil. He said as long as we keep the vessels full of fresh life, we can stay. It tastes like old pennies and bile, but I can hold Marcus's hand again. Even if his hand is a little loose at the wrist, September 20th, Marcus's skin is starting to slip. I had to use the industrial staple gun on his lower back today to keep the suit from sagging. He laughed, but a puff of gray dust came out of his mouth. We need more than just squirrels and crows now. The man says we need vitality. We're waiting for Leo, our sweet Leo. He's coming home on Friday. He'll be the anchor. We just need to make sure he stays. October 31st, Leo noticed the smell. I told him it was the compost, but it was really the neighbor's golden retriever, Goldie, rotting in the crawl space. We couldn't use all of her at once. The marrow keeps our eyes clear. Marcus says he misses the feeling of a heartbeat. I told him to be patient. Once Leo joins us, we won't have to pretend to breathe anymore. It's so exhausting, the pretending. After reading that, I ran upstairs, my head spinning. I burst into the kitchen. Mom was standing at the counter, preparing dinner. Mom, I gasped. What happened in August? The car accident, she stopped humming. She didn't turn around, but her head tilted at a sickening 90-degree angle. I heard a loud crack of vertebrae. We don't talk about the accident, Leo. It's rude to dwell on the past. She turned then. A large piece of her cheek had simply sloughed off. It was hanging by a thin thread of gray sinew, swaying like a pendulum. Underneath, there was no blood, just a hollow cavity packed with that dark, damp soil she mentioned in the diary. She reached into a pot on the stova, pot of beef stew that had been simmering all day. She pulled out a handful of gray, dripping meat and offered it to me. Eat, honey. You're looking so animated. It's distracting. I looked into the pot. Floating on the surface among the grease and the foam was a human ear. It had a small diamond stud in it, the same one our neighbor, Mrs. Gable, wore every day. I backed away, gagging, and ran right into my father. His bear hug wasn't warm. It was like being pressed against a bag of wet sand. As he squeezed me, I heard a squelching sound. A dark, viscous liquid black as motor oil began to leak from his pores, staining my shirt. "Don't run from your mother, Leo," he rumbled. His jaw didn't move quite right. It hung unhinged on the left side, swinging like a broken gate. "We've worked so hard to keep this family together. Do you know how much thread it takes to keep a man's torso attached to his hips?" I managed to shove him. His skin felt like wet, cold dough under my palms, and I bolted for the bathroom. "I've been in here for 3 hours. The scratching on the door is getting louder. It's not nails anymore. It sounds like bone on wood. Leo," Dad's voice is a wet rattle. "Open the door. The transition is easier if you don't fight it. The man is coming back tonight for the final stitching." I leaned over the sink to splash cold water on my face, trying to wake up from this nightmare. But then I looked in the mirror. Truly looked. I remembered the car ride. August 14th. I was in the back seat. I remember the tree. I remember the smell of gasoline and the sight of my father's head folded like a piece of paper. Looked at my own throat in the mirror. There was a thin, jagged line running all the way around my neck. I picked at it with a trembling finger. The skin didn't hurt. It just unzipped inside the wound. There wasn't a windpipe or veins. There was only a thick, black twine, neatly stitching my head to my shoulders. And there, packed into the gap, was the same dark graveyard soil. I'm not the missing piece because I'm alive. I'm the missing piece because I'm the only one who hasn't realized he's rotting yet. The scratching has stopped, Leo. Mom whispers through the keyhole. "I can hear your stuffing falling out, dear. Come out and let Mommy fix you." I'm looking at the window. It's a long drop. But if I jump, will I even break? Or will I just burst apart like a dropped bag of groceries? I don't know what to do. What do I do? Do I jump? Or do I let her sew me back together? Update, I'm losing my mind. Mom just slid a 6-inch upholstery needle under the door. It's dripping with that black, oily sludge, and she's whispering through the wood about how loose my neck looks. She says she just needs to tack me down so I don't wander off. The sound from the hallway has changed. Dad isn't using his hands to knock anymore. It sounds like he's just swinging his head against the door. Every time he hits it, I hear a wet, squelching sound, like a bag of mud hitting a wall. I'm standing on the toilet now, reaching for the window latch. My hands are gray, and when I move my wrist, I can hear the dirt shifting inside like a sandbox. I'm going to jump. It's a 12-foot drop to the driveway. If I hit the pavement and I don't break, or if I don't bleed, I guess I'll have my answer. If my phone survives the fall, I'll update you.